right, our crappy culture. So I got to wax a little philosophical here. So I wanted to come into this early because I wanted to talk a little bit about something. This Democratic Congresswoman, Kirsten Sinema, who is running to replace Senator Jeff Flake in Arizona, and Arizona seems to be trending blue, so maybe she's going to do it. She has a tendency to stick her foot in her mouth, and they unearthed a 2006 interview where she cursed out stay-at-home moms. And she said, these women who act like staying at home, leeching off their husbands or boyfriends and just cashing the checks is some sort of feminism because they're choosing to live that life. That's BS. I mean, what the F are we really talking about here? So this is disgusting, obviously. And I tweeted out, that my wife stayed at home, raised our kids. She took care of me. She made a home for us and for me. She still takes care of me. And what always bothers me about this is that it exposes the underlying philosophy of the left and the underlying philosophy of socialism and communism, which is materialism. The idea that there is nothing to you but a bag of flesh, and there's nothing to life but how much money you make and where the money is coming from and who is paying for things. And it always bothers me when people say things like, oh, a homemaker should be making $90,000 a year. There is no amount of money, zero amount of money that you could pay, that you could give me that would be worth what my wife did in our family. We all worship, there's three of us, besides her, we worship the ground she walks on. She knows it, we make her aware of it. Because when I say no amount of money, I mean it's priceless. It is priceless because it is not a material occupation. I completely admit that one of the problems modern women have is that home industries were taken away from them by the Industrial Revolution. That's being reversed by the internet. Now women can have industries at home, which is great, so they can stay home and also have some economic clout. But the thing that a homemaker does is not material. It is not material. It is the single most important thing that people do. It is the single most important thing that people do. And the fact is that maybe our culture underrates it, undervalues it, possibly because of feminism. And money can't market, I mean, I never understand married couples who have separate bank accounts. I've never understood that. To me, you're a family, you're a unit, all the money goes into a pool. I couldn't have done the stuff that I did if Ellen hadn't done that. But more than that, I would never have a person like me, an artist, a guy who says every word that comes out, every word that comes into his head comes out of my mouth, a guy who's really not fit doesn't have a real place in the corporate world, I would have had nowhere to be. I frequently joke that without my wife, I'd be living in a dumpster, but without my wife, every place I lived would be a dumpster, and I don't just mean, cleaning things up, though that too, I admit, but I mean also just like, making a place for people in the world. Children need that, and men need it too. I mean, I needed it too. And it just infuriates me. I want to talk about this more as the week goes on. I'm reading a lot of this kind of new moral experimentation they're doing, where they give people ethical questions, and then they judge how they react, and whether they react out of their emotions or whether they react out of logic. And it is developing new ideas. We have the slogan here that Ben came up with: facts don't care about your feelings. But of course, facts and feelings are very, very much interwoven. And I feel that they are doing this research. Like Jonathan Haidt is the guy. I think he's kind of a classical liberal, which makes him on the right now, makes him a right winger now. They're doing this research where the materialist assumption is in place. They just assume that there is nothing to us but flesh and bones, and there's nothing to morality but practicality and logic. And those things aren't true. And so when I hear somebody tearing down moms and homemakers, who I think are the centerpiece of the world, I think all of civilization was built to protect and keep them protected and fed and supported so they can do the essential work that they do. When I hear that happening, I just hear that materialist bandwagon that I think is infesting the right as well as the left. And we really have to talk about it, because all of this stuff that they say is based on materialism. Everything that they say when they talk about equality, when they talk about unfairness, when they talk about women, they're always talking about materialist assumptions, and they are not the only assumptions we can make. The comment about homemakers was disgusting. It is degrading one of the most important, most essential, maybe the essential thing that people do. All right, we will be back tomorrow, and I'll continue ranting. Even after they turn off the mic, I'll keep ranting. I'll still be here tomorrow. You will come in mid-rant. I'm Andrew Klavan. This is The Andrew Klavan Show. Oh, hooray, hurrah. The Andrew Klavan Show is produced by Robert Sterling. Executive producer, Jeremy Boring. Senior producer, Jonathan Hay. Our supervising producer is Mathis Glover. Technical producer, Austin Stevens. Edited by Alex Zingaro. Audio is mixed by Mike Cormina. Hair and makeup is by Jesua Alvera. And our animations are by Cynthia Angulo and Jacob Jackson. The Andrew Klavan Show is a Daily Wire Forward Publishing production. Copyright Forward Publishing 2018.